The garden cells are nice, a few statues in there, and if you're inclined that way, there's an earth cache. There's also a toilet in there, which is what people did with their free time. D8 and I, however, scuttled back to the Royal Flush geocache, found it, logged it, did the business, Maltese souvenir in the bag. Thank you very much. En route back to the Upper Barack, we popped into this little church, the inside of which was beautiful, really was. And you're thinking to yourself, how can the guide just walk past this church without pointing it out? All will be revealed. So we recongregate in the Upper Barack and we head off to the Co-Cathedral in Valletta. And when you go in there, you see why the guide didn't mention the little church that was by the Upper Barack. The interior of that place is absolutely, no, I'm not going to use the S word, it's mind-blowing. It really is. It is completely unmissable. If you go to Valletta, you have to visit this place. I'm not sure how much it costs to get in, but believe me, it's worth it. Really is. Let me try to think. I'll make sure I don't want to miss anything. No, yeah. Spent time in there. Gorgeous. Round we went, out we come. And then back to where the coach was waiting for us. Where, of course, we're given a choice. You can see the ship from where we are. You can either stay in Valletta, do a bit more, do a bit of shopping, sightseeing. You can walk back to the ship yourself, walk down through the Lower Barack Gardens, or you can get on the buzz and go back to the ship, which is what we elected to do. Now, very close to the ship, there's a few touristy shops. Selling glass and all the usual tourist stuff, fridge magnets, shot glasses, all that kind of stuff. Toys. So we went back to the boat, had a bite to eat, freshened up, and we saw a glass shop on the way through. So we went back because they were very reasonably priced and they got the sale on some of the stuff, and we bought a very nice piece of Indina glass. And then we ambled out towards the touristy shops, and you may remember, I hope some of you may, that I said I'd done some homework on Valletta and I'd got some caches stored on my phone, one of which had been placed specifically for cruising geocaches. And we found that one dead easy, no problem. Helped by the photo that's in one of the logs, which actually showed more stones as currently there that they've gone missing. It was dead easy to find. In fact, it was quite visible, but only if you knew what you were looking for. So got that one. So we got two for Malta. So after we bought the piece of glass, had a look in the shops, didn't see anything particularly wanted, although we did get a shot glass for Gavin. We went back to the ship. So we were quite close to a few more we could have done, but the trouble with Valletta Harbour, which I didn't know because I've not been before, after you've gone a very short way, the only way is up. So we left it alone, we'd done what we needed to do, we'd had a good time. Back on the boat. Right, after Valletta was a sea day. Obviously nothing in the way of geocaching, not much in the way of tourism. Only thing is, on sea days, obviously they have to put more activities on and sometimes they clash. In the afternoon, there were two quizzes. D8 decided we were going to do this one. Fair enough, no problems. Only thing was, when we got there, we found out it was all about MSC, about which we know nothing. But apparently we know more than anybody else that was doing the quiz, and with a massive 6 out of 10, all of 1, which was the dead easy question 10, which everybody would have got, were guesses. I'd like to claim at least one of them was an educated guess. And I will. One of them was an educated guess. All the others were complete and utter guesses. Anyway, we won a decent prize. Not a t-shirt or a cap or a backpack or a bandana. It was a decent prize. We won a free meal in one of the speciality restaurants. Now, we elected to go that night to a place called the Butcher's Cut, a steakhouse. And the only problem we had was their idea of medium well done steak wasn't the same as ours. As far as I'm concerned, or we're concerned, medium well done does not have meat with blood coming out of it when you cut into it. So we had to send it back. And this is the only time service kind of fell a little bit flat on the whole cruise, to be honest. When they took the meat away, they didn't take the sides away. So while the meat was being cooked up to well done, DH fries and Mike's smoked mashed potatoes, yes, ladies and gentlemen, you can smoke mashed potatoes, and let me tell you, they were gorgeous, were going cold, as were the onion rings that we'd ordered. So we snacked on the onion rings while they were still warm, waiting for the steak to return. And normally, that would have cost €39 each, and then another €3.50 for the onion rings that we had on the side. So that was definitely a prize worth winning. It was a bit rough overnight. Now, I must admit, the guy back in Valletta had said that the weather forecast said the wind was going to pick up. And she also said the weather we'd had that day, we were lucky, because although the wind was still there, they hadn't had the temperatures the 2 days prior. So while we were grateful for the breeze to cool us down now and again, that hadn't been the case the 2 days before. Anyway, on the boat we go. Sea day, blah, 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 like I told you. And it did get a bit choppy. And up on deck 9, we thought we'd feel it, but we did a bit, but not a lot. Certainly not as much as our close dining friends, the German couple, Thomas and his girlfriend, who puzzlingly, they're down on deck 5, and she suffered that badly she had to go and get seasickness tablets. Having looked at the ship's plan, all the cabins on deck 5 are forward of midships. I can only assume they must have had one of them that was right at the front, which means the ship was moving more. Now, I've got to make a confession here. I've used Thomas before, and I've said he was a spitting image of Graham Gooch, England cricket captain. I'm sorry, Dave, but he wasn't. He was as bold as Elmer Fudd. He hadn't got a hair on his head. Not a single follicle. Not one. Nowhere. I'm sorry, mate. Now, that's a little game that me and Dave have been playing. If you want to know what the hell it is we're talking about, send us a message and I'll let you know. Right, so then, on to what's next? Barcelona, yes. Barcelona, where we'd done a trip. Our original trip was cancelled, so we had to book another one, which included Park Güell and the Sagrada Familia. Both obviously are Gaudi creations. Park Güell, luckily, so the weather was good. It's a bit windy on the seafront, but once we got into the city itself, I don't know whether the buildings interrupted the airflow or what, but there was nothing in the way of wind. Park Güell is beautiful, lovely to look at. If you visit Barcelona, visit Park Güell, there's 2 ways of getting in. You can either rock up and they'll charge you €8.50, or you can book in advance and they'll charge you €7.50. The only thing is they operate a time slot system. So you need to pick the times. You'll need to know when you're going to get there. They do hourly time slot system. Because that's the way it operates. Inside Park Güell, there are at least 5 geocaches. And as we worked our way through it from the upper entrance where the coaches come in, we were tantalisingly close to 2. One of them twice on 2 different occasions, as we walked out and as we walked back. But when you're in a party of 40 or 50, you can't just go, excuse me a minute, I just got to... No, never mind. So I couldn't look for those. I could look for another one during the free time we had, which was down by the main pedestrian entrance, which is where the toilets are, the souvenir shop, the Gaudi Museum, and people generally congregate to take photographs up the main entry stairway to the main Hippolytic Hall. Undeterred by the fact that the 3 previous geocaches hadn't found it, off I went. There was time to kill. Sadly, I have to report that I didn't find it either, so this one would appear to have gone missing. Anyway, so back to the coach we went, and back into Barcelona City. Now, here we had the option of getting off where the MSC shuttle buses operate, or we could just stay on the coach and go back to the ship. This time, because we hadn't got a cash and because we wanted to see the city a little bit more, that area of it at least, we got off and went over to the Christopher Columbus statue that anybody who's been to Barcelona or has heard of Barcelona knows is there, where there's a virtual. So we did that, and so we got one done today. But there is, according to the search I've done, because the key thing I found is that now, and this is for everybody, not just for geocaches, you can use your phone abroad like you're at home. So if you want to ring up your mum and tell you how you're getting on from Barcelona or Genoa, you can. If you want to send a text from Marseille to home, you can. If you want to do a search on your geocaching app on your phone using your data, providing you've got data left, of course, you can. So, according to the search I'd done, really should stop doing that. There was another geocache, only a couple of 100 feet up the Rambler from where we were. So off we went to look for it. Now, foreign geocaches obviously are logged. The descriptions are done in the native tongue, but sometimes they put translations on. And indeed, this one was done in 2 languages. Trouble was, the 2 languages were Spanish and Catalan. Now, D8 can speak French, can speak German. She does know a smattering of Spanish, and it was enough for her looking at it to realise that this particular cache had been miscategorised. It wasn't traditional at all. It was part of a multi. So there was nothing to find. So anyway, back to the shuttle bus we went, and back to the ship. So that was Barcelona. On to Marseille. Now, we've been to Marseille a couple of times before. Very good friend Kim Weisbrot has organised. We did a day trip with her the first time we went, and we went to a lot of places that the MSC one couldn't. This is where you get the difference between the ship ones and the independent ones. Ship ones, you're almost always on a 50-seater coach. The independent ones that you get through Viator or somebody like that, or people like myself or Kim or other friends that we've met, Karen, Hui, organised through independents, usually operate a maximum of, we'll say, 16, 20-seater coaches. And it does make a difference. So, Marseille. We booked a tour up to Avignon. Avignon is, again, a medieval sort of town, a bit more windy roads, but obviously a lot bigger than the other ones we've been to. And the Pope's Palace is a very impressive building, but it's very Gothic. It is lovely in its own way, but it's more barren, if you like, but it's still impressive nonetheless. So we went into the Pope's Palace. We had 3/4 hour free time, loads of time, you'd think. Look for the geocache that's in the square in front of the Pope's Palace without any success. Went into the next square, the main sort of town square, where we found another one, and we looked for another one, and we did find it. So yeah, that's that calendar slot filled, and then indulged in a very, 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 I've got to say, overpriced cake. I mean, seriously, €3.50 for a cake. Anyway, sat in the square. We'd found the geocache. It was quite a nice afternoon. And then we ambled via a souvenir shop back to the coach, which was parked right by Le Pont d'Avignon. Now, did we get a chance to go sur Le Pont d'Avignon? I'm afraid we didn't. Time was against us. Plus, I didn't realise you had to pay to go sur Le Pont d'Avignon. Now, I would have done, honestly, I would, but we didn't have time. So I couldn't, in fact, I didn't even have time to see if the geocache that's by the Pont d'Avignon is actually on it or underneath it. Never mind. So that was Avignon. Back to Marseille. Now, the next part of the trip to that particular day trip was to go to the basilica that overlooks Marseille. The thing is, it's on completely the other side of the city from the road in from Avignon. So when you come in, you have to drive all the way through Marseille and around the harbour and past loads of geocaches. Well, a few. And then you go up the hill to the basilica. This is where, particularly, the advantage of being in a small minibus, like Kim organised, kicks in, because the roads are barely designed for minibuses. In fact, they're barely designed for cars. How this guy with the 50-seater bus made it through these roads, I have no idea. He was an art form, really it was. Anyway, we got up there. Now, the last time we were there, we were muggles, we weren't geocachers. But because you can use your data abroad, I did a search. I think it actually used up the last of my data allowance for the month. And we found that there is a physical cache there, and there's a virtual.